My name is Lindsey Thole. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a junior at Ball State University. And a fun fact about me is I have a bionic pinky finger. I'm from Carmel, Indiana. I was born and raised there. So I went to Carmel High School, which was a super fun experience, very big. They had a lot of classes there that a lot of high schools don't really offer. So I took an engineering class there, actually, and like a jewelry making class and a lot of art classes. My relationship with making things and my passion for art has always been there. The first thing that I think back to is this drawing competition that we did in elementary school. Every year there was this like Halloween themed drawing competition that the Children's Museum hosted. I submitted one in first grade and it won first, which was super awesome. And then I submitted it again in second grade and also won first place. And then we did it again in fifth grade and I got first place again. So I've always been into drawing and like making things. So I would just say that's kind of part of who I am, not really something I discovered so much. And then in middle school, I took all the art classes that they offered, same in high school, which is where I took jewelry. We had ceramics and drawing, and then eventually I got to AP Studio Art, and I took that my junior and senior year. In those classes, they have you focus on like one medium or like aspect. My junior year, I did drawings and watercolor paintings and colored pencil, but it all had to like revolve around a theme. And then in my senior year, I did all photography. But yeah, and then getting into college, I knew I definitely needed to be in a major that, you know, focused on art. I knew that I wanted something that had, you know, artistic like aspects to it, but it wasn't just completely subjective. And what I really like about the major I ended up in, architecture, is that there's like a meaning behind everything, and there's like math involved, and there's like so much other like logistical pieces. It's like a puzzle almost that you put together to make like an artistic product. My official major is architecture, and specifically it's a bachelor's of architecture. So there's two paths you can take. The 5-year one gives you like a certificate accredited degree at the end, and then the 4-year one is just architecture in general. My first tour here at Ball State was actually with my dad. It wasn't like an official tour because he went to Ball State, and actually he was in the architecture program for one semester, and then he said it was like the first time he was ever getting B's, and he was like, oh my gosh, this is not for me. But anyway, he's always loved Ball State, and so he's the one who showed it to me first, because initially I was really looking at IU, Indiana University, until he showed me Ball State, and I fell in love with it immediately. We just walked like up and down the campus like over a summer, and he just like told me stories, and we like tried to get in buildings and things. But I would say that's like really when I was like, this is where I want to go. I also love that there's like a mix in materials of the buildings, which I know is kind of like a niche like thing to point out, but I hated that about Purdue, is that every building looks the same. And I also do not like limestone, and all of the buildings at IU are limestone, and they have that like gross gray. I don't like it. Anyway, so I love the buildings here too, and I also really liked the location of it. It was like just an hour away from where I live, but it felt like far enough away that I didn't really feel like I wasn't leaving home. My journey with making things here at Ball State started with the first year program, which is very, very intense. They kind of just get you involved with all of the majors that you might pursue. So landscape, urban planning, and architecture, you get kind of a mix of all of them. It was a lot of just like cutting cereal boxes and making like little models, just like kind of get your brain in the like mode of exploring like space. But my favorite project from that year was this project called the Light Box. So the requirements for this project was to have an 8 by 8 like inch cube that was just white, and you could cut into the sides or anything to have like a light come through and then show like the shadow, and that was it. I took it a lot of steps further and decided that I wanted to have a box that hinged on all of the sides, and could like completely fold inside out, which was really hard to figure out as a first year. But I love that one because I feel like it really speaks to the idea of like getting to innovate and like just try something new, because I feel like every project is a chance to try something new. Personally, I don't really see the point in just, why would you just do something that you've already seen that just feels boring. So my second year, we started learning like actual computer softwares because we didn't do anything with the computer first year. We had this one model that had to be like, you had to build this form out of chipboard, and then you filled it with plaster and you took all the chipboard off, and you were supposed to have this like plaster sculpture. What we're working on now is the ACSA steel competition. And so they give you like a lot of programs they want you to include. So like a gym, we have to have a restaurant, an outdoor space, an event space, a rentable office space, and it's very like realistic. It's not so much like a sculpture project anymore, but you can still like take those ideas to make something that, even though it's a lot more practical, still make it new and interesting. I would label myself as a designer. I like that term because it's really broad. You know, you can design architecture, you can design, you know, a photo in a way. You can design anything. And so I think just taking an idea that you have and realizing it, I think is really why I would call myself that. Because, you know, you can take an idea for a structure and then you make it, or I can have an idea for, you know, a poster and I make it. So the next year ahead of me is going to look like another semester of school, and then we have 1 semester of internship. So I'll go to a firm or any internship that I'm interested in or that is offered to me, and just go get like real world experience. And then the year after that would be our 5th year, which is our thesis year. So we can take an idea that we have and really pursue that the entire year, which I'm really excited for. I think that will be great. But beyond that, I would say I need a job where I can, or a career where I can, you know, be a designer and make things and contribute in a way that, you know, takes what I do best and like puts it towards like a bigger project. I think that would be the most fulfilling for me. You know, you can take an architecture degree and be a 3D footwear model designer, which is a job at Nike that I'm really interested in. Or you can become, you can just like go the academic route and become a professor, which I'm also interested in because I like to design. So why not, you know, pursue things that are not assigned to me. I really love making posters, and it's good to have something besides architecture that you are passionate about. But also another big like aspect of design that I really focus on is photography. I've been asked to take photos of theater productions. The way it actually started was freshman year. There was a production of Pin Top, and the director had asked, like, can anyone take photos of this? Does anyone know anybody? And then my name got brought up, and I was like, okay, I'll try. Like, I like taking photos. I've never done any photos of like a show, but I'll try it. And so I went to a rehearsal and did it, and they turned out really good, and the director loved having them. Even the writer of that play reached out to me and asked me if he could use them on his website, so that was super awesome. And then since then, I've done several more, and they've just gotten better and better, and it's always really fun. Another thing I've also done is set design. I did Little Women with a co-designer, and that was the first one that I did, and there was a lot to learn about like the process of designing a set. Learning how to like make a director's vision like realized through my own vision has been like a challenge, but also super fun to do. I also did The Unexpected Guest. I would say that one was a little more challenging because the director of that show was a lot more particular. Getting to play, you know, a role in the creation of something that can just like make someone be like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I had in my mind, is so fulfilling. Set design, photography, graphic design, and architecture is my stuff.